So I just want to do the news thing that I've been doing. Um, However, like each time that I do this, I'm just getting more and more bored with the news, which is a good thing, really. But just like some really crazy stories, there seems to be some new thing kicking off today. Children among the victims in Southport stabbing. Seems to have been a stabbing at a children's hospital. Um, which like the stories that were on X and the stories that are on The Guardian and the stories that are on BBC and The Guardian seem to be avoiding talking about what was really going on and just basically saying that there was like using terms like this. This is a strong community. Do you know what I mean? Like basically non-existent reporting. Like they want to get things out. Um, but they can't say what's happened or who it's to do with because the police are still interviewing that person. It might impede the investigation and whatever and whatever. X seems to be saying it was a stabbing at a yoga. I don't know why I'm laughing. Stabbing at a yoga convention. I don't know uh, what whether that's got any truth to it or not. It seems to be a bunch of far right people. I don't know why my feed is full of far right shit. Is it because I shave my head? I just don't like want to pay 20 quid to get my hair cut every like 3 months. I'd rather just shave my head and let it grow back. It's good for my scalp health. What like why am I getting flooded with far right? Is there just far right shit going on right now? I don't really know, but there seems to be a few posts from the far right saying somehow blaming Muslims for this stabbing. Uh, both the Guardian and the BBC don't seem to be talking about whether who the stabber is. But yeah, I mean, stabbing a bunch of kids, not good. I think it says something like 8 kids. Was it? Is it say 8 kids or 13 kids? Eight eight 8 kids stabbed and yeah, 8 victims with stab wounds. Details of the injured have not been confirmed. I thought it's a Taylor Swift yoga and dance workshop. Crazy, crazy shit. Um, Not what you want, is it? Really? I don't know what to talk about with regard to a stabbing of children. Um, you would hope that you hope that what that does is it makes people think about taking fucking knives out. Really, you know. Um, what you don't want is kids getting stabbed, man. I think that what happens with terrorists is they get trained the same as police. They get trained and military. They get trained to think that kids can be a threat and that kids do you know what I mean? They get trained to think that like kids can still carry bombs, kids can still stab people, kids can just run up and like hack at someone with a machete. So a lot of these people that do shit like attack kids like that, like they're trained to think that kids aren't harmless. Personally, my way of thinking is that kids can be shaped and kids can learn. The reason why we the reason why the kids go to go to school in the way that we do is because at that age that's ripe for the shaping, really, isn't it, of the like 9 to 5 Monday to Friday lifestyle. Um, I personally uh, I would love it if I could go back to school now, you know. I know that so many adults say this, but school is wasted on the youth. And what you think of with that is like, isn't there some way to adapt it so that because what we've basically got is a whole system of people going to university up until they're like 25, 26. Um, and you think, wouldn't it probably have made more sense to, I don't know, like I felt like I got punished because I couldn't concentrate, you know? Felt like I got punished because I couldn't concentrate and because there was no catchment area. So I went to a school in an area that was full of people from an area that seemed to think that they needed to protect that area. So the kids weren't really too bad in terms of bullying. I didn't really get things that hard. Like kids that I went to school with became pieces of shit after we left school. But in terms of like actually being in school, it really wasn't that bad. That some kids got it bad, man. Still, like I remember this heavily disabled kid getting beaten the shit out of by like 15 of the hard lads, and then filming it, and then spreading it everywhere. It's fucked up, man. There was also, I don't know what the point is talking about various people that got bullied in school and shit. Like, is what it is, I guess. There's not much we can do about it now. Hopefully there is, hopefully you can change whatever for the future. But it doesn't really seem like it's getting any better if children are getting stabbed. But like, what I did think is like a lot of those, you think as people are getting to a point where we might start living much longer, right? Like we might start living till 100, 110, 120 and being compos mentis that whole time. You would think that is it not worthwhile maybe changing the education system? Like this whole thing of kids have ADHD, like, well, maybe we don't go back to beating the shit out of kids to force them to concentrate until they blow up in their fucking 40s and stab a whole school full of kids. Like maybe what you do is not that. And maybe what you do is like you let them be kids. Do you know what I mean? What did you want to do as a kid? You wanted to run around like a mad bastard, right? I wanted to be creative. I wanted to play acts. Do you know what I mean? Like you wanted to play cowboys and like not cowboys and Indians, but like you want to play whatever little fucking weird thing that it was where you would create a storyline with your friends and you would play that shit out. Like, do you know what I mean? That's what kids want to do. You want to run around. You want to play football. You want to like race each other. Like you want to play rounders. You want to play base. Do you know what I mean? You want to play cricket. You want to play games, man. Um, and you would think, isn't there some way of allowing kids to enjoy their life? And that because like you get to a point where like I would say like when I reached, I would say about 3 years ago, it got to a point where I went, oh, I really want to learn shit now. Do you know what I mean? But it's like I want to learn everything. I don't want to learn one course. And so many people that I speak to have this opinion. So many people that are 20, 30 years older than me have this opinion. Do you know what I mean? Like, um, so I would think if that's the case, that like, if there's some sort of yearning, but that people think it's pathetic to do that yearning, maybe it's not. Maybe that's something that really needs to be looked at. Maybe. Just like letting kids be kids more and teaching them different shit, like about acceptance and, do you know what I mean? How to have fun and still be doing something constructive, maybe. And then you think like maybe teaching people things in other ways, like how you've got like hymns and fucking books that will teach people calculus and whatever, like maybe getting them ready for that. So and then doing some sort of like further education when people are, you fuck knows, man. I would say that things need massive change because school shootings and school stabbings are like, why is this a thing that we're just accepting and we're going, let's hammer out society as it is. Let's, do you know what I mean? We're going, no, the problem isn't like society and education. The problem is how people are reacting to it. And more and more so people are reacting worse and worse, and people are more and more people are going on to ADHD meds, more and more people are getting signed off sick with depression. Like you think, isn't there some sort of other way? And what people are doing is going, yeah, what we need to do is just get a load of people working in call centers who don't want to, and then we'll prohibit them from doing any sort of like exercise or working out or eating healthily, and we'll make them think that that's bad. We won't improve the job because that costs money, and we need our CEOs to get £10 million bonuses a year. Oh, thanks. But it's so bless you. So like, what you think? Oh, well, like, um, improve the working life, improve the educational life, improve the way that we are educated, improve the way that we do work. It seems like a no-brainer, but it seems like a bunch of fucking 70-year-olds are hanging on to their £10 million a year bonus and going, no, I'm not going to give that up because now my life costs £9 million and I need 1 million to save for when my kid's coke habit gets out of control. You know, um, Heward was charged with making indecent images of children. Didn't he just get a pay rise like a couple of days ago? What the fuck is making an indecent image of a child? Does that mean taking photos of underage kids? Holy fuck. Yo, that's big, man. This guy's a big. That's the equivalent of Tucker Carlson getting taken down, man. It's except a lot less cool. It is not the equivalent of Tucker Carlson getting taken down. That's just more BBC shit, man. More BBC shit. What is with these presenters getting taken out for paedophilia in the BBC? It's fucking crazy, man. How many more? It's mad. Um, Reeves acts as universal winter fuel payments for pensioners. Cold. Labour seem to really not be doing too great at the minute. What is going on here? Axing. Millions of pensioners will no longer get winter fuel payments. Wow. That seems crazy. Something created in 1997. I mean, the cost of fuel is fucking way higher now. And every time I go around to my grandma, she's always freezing cold. That's crazy. Junior doctors offered 22% pay rise. Don't they get paid like 50 grand a year? Like I don't. What's the thing with the junior doctors? Why are people saying they don't get paid enough? Like this is pushing people into private healthcare. All this shit. Like it doesn't seem like Labour want to help the NHS in any way, shape, or form. Um, so now junior doctors are getting paid more. But the elderly are getting starved. Um, I wonder if that's going to have an impact. I wonder if axing universal winter payments is going to have an impact on the NHS. Fucking like it's so obvious. Do you know what I mean? They're attacking the elderly to overload the NHS more. I was reading something yesterday that was saying, oh, they're going to like GPs are voting on whether like your local general practitioner is they're voting on whether to uh, cut the amount of patients that they have to see by half, which will affect 3 million doctor's appointments a week. And you think, who is this falling on? Do you know what I mean? If 6 million people, this is a population in England of like 60 million, I think, right? So like if 10% of people are getting a doctor's appointment weekly, what what does that indicate? Do you know what I mean? What's gone wrong? Why are 6 million people needing a doctor's appointment each week? And this is apparently going to be helped by halving that. This is all leading up to because like I was in a Reddit forum recently seeing people talking about like going into being a doctor purely for financial reasons. You think this is why? This is exactly why. This is exactly why we have these problems. Do you know what I mean? Because people have gone into a career like a career that is essentially supposed to be helping people, providing a healthcare service which should incorporate mental health as well as physical health. And what's happening is, and like I'm sure that what they said that they were doing, I'm sure that they are help. What they said that they were doing that for is so that they can give better care to their patients, right? However, that's not going to be how it comes off. The impacts of all of these things happening at once, all of a sudden 50% of if that vote goes through and all of a sudden we have 50% of the people who are having like 50% of the amount of GP appointments are going through at the same time that a universal winter fuel payments for pensioners gets axed, at the same time that the food cap goes into effect. Do you know what I mean? This food cap where like you only get money for two kids. What's that going to mean when like it's said that people that are on this, that people that are getting their money capped like this, they're more likely to miss meals and shit. And you think, okay, so you're going to have people having less nutrients, so their brains function worse. You're going to axe a winter fuel payment for pensioners, meaning that they get less money into their bills, right? And you've now got doctors getting paid more, junior doctors getting paid more. 22% pay rise on what I believe is something like 40 grand a year. It's this seems like madness again and again and again, over and over and over again. Like utter madness, man. Do you know what I mean? Like I would say that in like 4 years' time, you're going to see a lot more children getting stabbed. You're going to see a lot more mass stabbings of kids, and like how I don't know how you would look at it in any other way. Do you know what I mean? Programming's getting worse. Programming's gone from like TV was bad enough because it was saying you need to go and be in your 9 to 5. This is what you need to do with your life. You need to live out these things, and oh, pay attention to this story because there's a moral to it. If you don't follow, if you don't like fall within the seven deadly, if you don't not commit the seven deadly, if you commit the seven deadly sins, you're gonna get brutally murdered by Kevin Spacey. Do you know what I mean? Like at least it used to be just that. Now it's just videos of people laughing at people with mental health issues. Crazy. Sex cults starting out through fucking TikTok and shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's madness, man. It's crazy. And what do you expect something different? Like how many people in the BBC are getting taken down, taken down, taken down, taken down? Why would we trust those people to make our content? In what way is that better in any fucking in a lot of senses? Do you know what I mean? But like if you're if you're taking away nutrients from people, you're taking away money from the elderly, and like paying doctors more, less GP appointments. I think that this shit is going to get bad, you know? And then they're putting more police on the street. Seemingly, the problems that we have right now as a normal everyday, but like this might not look like I'm a normal everyday person. I mean, I washed my bed sheets a couple of days ago. It looks worse than it was, but so it might look like I'm a bit of a messy, lazy person. Which, when it comes to tidying I cleaned the kitchen yesterday. You know, I'm when I get some drain and blocker, which will be in a couple of days, I'm going to clean the bathroom. But I don't really feel like I need to clean this room. But, it's just a fucking. I've just been lazy and put my mattress on the floor because I had COVID and I wanted to sleep with the where the PC was so I could watch it. But for people like me, what my issues are corrupt law enforcement, corrupt government officials, corrupt law enforcement, corrupt government officials, fake news articles, spreading disinformation and hatred, spreading hatred between people, um, corruption within religions, price of food, price of bills. Do you know what I mean? Not having a girlfriend. These are things that are mainly run through my mind. These are things that piss me off. Do you know what I mean? How did I just spend a tenner on food in one day and I barely fucking got anything? Do you know what I mean? How am I paying for? How am I paying £50 a month and getting into further debt on my gas and electricity when I'm one person living on my own and I shower once every sometimes once a day, sometimes once every 2 days. I have a bath, I have a cold bath about once a month, and I wash my pots once a day. And I cook one meal. I cook one big meal. So using the gas, and I wash my clothes maybe once, maybe twice a week. Somehow that equates to paying £50 a month and getting in further debt. And that's just gas and electricity. Fucking mad, man. It's crazy. Um, Prison officer admits sex with inmate in cell. I mean, I'm not surprised. But I'm not surprised, but also I think some of that shit needs to. You think like, yeah, these. I don't think sex is the worst. I think if they're having sex with them and they're abusing them, I think often like the prisoners are having sex with the prison officers to get them fired. Do you know what I mean? Sex is a normal part of life, man. All this shit about getting people sacked for sex is weird. Creating indecent images of kids, sack that man. Do you know what I mean? Sack that dude. Not just sack that dude, but like obviously prison. Obviously like some sort of criminal investigation goes into that. But prison officer admits sex with inmate in cell. I mean, think that was filmed by another inmate. That just seems like I'm probably. She looks like she's got a lip job. She's got her hair done. She looks like somebody that probably took that job so that she could fuck the prisoners, so that they could make the prison service look bad. I would say that that's what that is. Um, no, I do think though that like sex is just a normal part of life, man. The more that we demonize it, like I guess that you shouldn't be having sex with prisoners because they're not supposed to be having a good time. Can't really be the prison warden and going around fucking inmates. I guess that's. But like for me, that looks like a setup. Do you know what I mean? Oh well. Health alert over the temperatures. Good, I want it hot, man. I want it way hotter than it's been. It's fucking August, man. Um, don't care, don't give a shit. Puberty blockers ban is lawful. It's a weird situation, isn't it? You've got people like what's the guy's name? Eddie Izzard, saying that he wishes that he was a girl from when he was a child, that he wishes that he had puberty stopped and whatever. And I don't know, man. It's difficult not be. I think it should be a case by case basis, really. But I think having it taken away from you is worse. If you grow up and you think my mum and dad took away my testicles, I would say that you would be much more pissed off. You know, I think that like we're probably heading towards a stage where like you're going to be able to reverse puberty. I would say that we're probably heading towards a stage where they probably already have shit where like you can take it and it just gets rid of. Like I guess you can't. Could you ever really shrink the size of someone's skeleton? Probably not. But everything becomes possible, doesn't it? So I really don't think it's that. Really don't think it's that mad to think that that's possible. But I don't know. Like I guess you have to go through a lot of therapy. You know, it's a weird thing that like I don't really want to touch because like I don't know what that's like to want to get rid of. I know in my head I go through phases of shit and I snap in and out of shit all the time. You know, I might want to watch a load of fucking action films and UFC and then I might snap into, you know, watching Maxine or some shit. Do you know what I mean? But um, it's been a lot of good female horror the last 10 years. But like I um don't really know what there is for me to say about that. because I don't know what it's like to be somebody that grows up wishing that they didn't go through puberty. What I do know is that yeah, it's weird for that to be pushed onto other people, I guess. I guess what people are so worried about with that is that when they have kids that they think don't like pushing rhetorics like that onto children can make them think that they want to cut off their dick or grow a penis. Do you know what I mean? When like, and I don't know quite where I fall on that. Why should anything like that be shielded from kids to an extent? You know, we don't shield being, is it binary, non-binary? I don't know. We have non-binary stars and shit, right? I mean, I really don't know. Like, I think it's down to the parents. I think a lot of it should always fall on the parents, you know? I think society is society, but and I understand that like kids get raised by society to an extent. But I think that these are things for um, I think these are things for parents to talk about with their kids, you know? If you just approach that topic properly and a puberty block is the answer, you know, making yourself, if you know, a puberty block is the answer to that equation. Do you know what I mean? It's extremely difficult, and I guess I don't have much contact with anyone that says I wish I'd cut my penis off, and I wish that I had a different set of genitals. I just don't I don't talk to people that have that opinion. I just read those opinions online, I guess. But again, all I can say is that I would be pissed off if that had happened to me. Also, I don't remember being a kid though and wanting to be a little girl, you know? And if there are, and there weren't really any kids that said that they wanted to be the opposite sex when we were younger. I had a girlfriend that said that she wished she was a man because she was a crazy level of control freak, and I think that she thinks if she was a guy, she would have had more control. She was also a lesbian. And she also flaunted the fact that she was used to be a lesbian or that she was bi when I was seeing her. And then when I was sleeping with her recently, shut that shit down like it had never happened. No, no, it was never that. It's like, yeah, you were. You used to talk about going to the lesbian club and not in Nottingham all the time. You used to talk about how you were a lesbian, like, but you had a huge lesbian phase before me. No, like, not even like wanted to discuss it or argue, just no, and just move straight on. Weird shit. Um, yeah, the rest of the shit on BBC News. One thing that I'd like and also, dog walker dies 4 days after attack. Peak District beauty spot sees mass brawl. Why is that a story? Do you know what I mean? What it sort of looked like in that video was somebody punched somebody in a group of, and there's like a group of like maybe 40 people there. Like, so? If somebody walks up to somebody, if there's a fight in a park, like what? I don't know who gives a shit that somebody gets punched. Like, isn't that a matter for the police? Why is that something that's posted on a fucking news site? Um, like that seems to me that when people say like I used to live with this guy who went to university to do journalism, and he basically said, no, I dropped out. They basically said to us at the beginning of the course, you have to be a piece of shit, and if you're not a piece of shit, this course isn't going to be for you. I would imagine that they create news, right? Do you know what I mean? I would imagine that journalists are involved in creating news, which you think is such a weird concept. Why would you create news so that for a like I barely remember stories I read from 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? I don't give a fuck. You just accept it all as false and you move on. You just accept it all as advertising and you move on. Do you know what I mean? I mean, this is essentially what I'm doing is I'm giving a review of adverts. Do you know what It's crazy. I I enjoyed more this. I might have to cut this out because like reviewing the news is so boring, man. It's crazy boring. I just went for a walk where I fed some crows and some geese. That was a lot more fun. It's making me want to go and buy a loaf of bread so I can go and feed more crows. Like I'm not. And it's just depressing, man. Do you know what I mean? You know, when it's almost like I'm playing a board game here. Like I've never been. I was in the chess club when I was in infant school. Then I was in the chess club in year three. I guess video games were around after that. I don't really care about board games, you know. But like for me, this is like some mad. This is like playing some mad game. Like, do you know what I mean? Oh, story in the top right, AXA's universal winter fuel payment. Story diagonally to the left below, junior doctors offer 22% pay rise. Story directly below, health alert for England as temperatures of 32 degrees. Oh, there was a story yesterday about, do you know what I mean? About how doctors were going to cut the amount of GP appointments we have in half. Like, what the fuck, man? It's not good. Because like my personal opinion, watching a few documentaries about the homeless problem in the US, the reason that we don't have that here, the reason that we don't have such a huge problem with stuff like trank and all these other crazy drugs being pushed onto the homeless community in the UK, right, is because they can't kill them. In the US, those people don't have access to healthcare, so they're just going to die in the street. They're going to get their wounds infected. They're going to lose limbs and they're going to die in the street, right? But like in the UK, those people would be able to go to a hospital. If something like that happened to them, they'd be able to go to the hospital. So like my personal opinion is the only reason that that shit hasn't taken off is not because we have a better caliber of people, but because we have an NHS, because we have a National Health Service, because we have a National Health Service. um, they can't murder the poor en masse like that. That's my personal opinion. If those drugs start getting sold over here, the police will crack down on it not because they care about the people using them dying, but because of the further strain on the NHS and because the government would shut that shit down. And I think that if they move to private healthcare, it's going to be they're going to keep the NHS for a little while, and then they're going to get rid of it, and then that's when they're going to pull in shit like that. You know, that's the board game that I play, I guess. You know, really got not a lot to do right now, so um, the Guardian. Really getting more and more impressed with the Guardian, right? But like because it seemed to just be a vapid pit of Tories pretending to be liberal like a few weeks ago. Don't know. Hopefully, it's Labour getting into power. But what I can say is that I'm impressed with the uh, opinion pieces and shit that I'm seeing, and like I'm more impressed with the standard of journalism that's been going on the last few weeks because I sent them a huge complaint, one that I probably don't want to read out because it'll make me sound like a psychopath, but um, it wasn't just feeling like that they were targeting certain people, and including myself. I also felt like that they were. I read that they got taken. Looking at the journalism that they were doing like 10 years ago. You go and find old pieces, and you're like, yeah, this is what a left-leaning newspaper needs to be doing. And then you read the shit the last like year, and it's like, what the fuck is this, man? What the fuck is going on? Why is there so much "We Love the BBC" on it? It's mad. But I've been a lot more impressed the last few weeks, so hopefully that's a sign of an upturning, you know? Um, Winter fuel payments to be restricted. That's so crazy. I'm just gonna put it out there. I don't want a winter fuel payment. I'm fine just being freezing cold and just using a couple of fucking duvets or like wearing. I just wear when it's freezing cold. I just wear a hoodie and joggers to bed. Do you know what I mean? I'm just gonna be straight out there. Like keep the fuel payments for the old people. Just stop giving it to people that don't need it. You know? Um, Southport stabbings, yeah, did that. Middle East, not really bothered. Police appeal for information after death of woman attacked while walking dog. That sounds so crazy. One thing to talk about is the Olympics thing, right? Like this fucking thing that they've now apologized for. Like, yo, Da Vinci was gay, man. Like, I'm going off this by judging like I watched a TV show about him, and then off the back of that, I read about him, and like, obviously, not getting into relationships isn't a. I personally think that this is a way that they do people like that, right? They want to hear what they want is that they want to hear this man is no threat. So in order to have this man is no threat, they they push them into an avenue of I need to see them in a dress or I need to see them fucking another man. Therefore, they can tell other people like they don't mind about that person becoming the greatest artist ever. Do you know what I mean? It still gets talked about like 500 years later or whatever. They don't mind about making that person the greatest artist ever, as long as he's not going to take all the women from the fucking Medici family or whatever that family was called. Um, Wherever he was from. He's from Medici, wasn't he? Maybe. Um, oh no, from Vinci, right? Leonardo da Vinci, Leonardo da Vinci, which is in where was Vinci? Where is Vinci? It's in like somewhere close to Tuscany, yeah, yeah. Which Tuscany is fucking beautiful, man. Super, super nice up there. Um, it's just one of those places where you just like you look out and it like just farmland and just beautiful weather, beautiful architecture, just a great vibe. Um, really enjoyed last time I was in Italy. Would love to be back there. Unfortunately, I can't even afford to buy a training blocker at the minute. Um, yeah, but like I mean, the stories about Da Vinci was they tried to take him to court, right? So I don't think anybody had been to court for being gay for like time, and then because somebody didn't like him, they tried to take him to they tried to get him like hung for shagging some model that he painted. You think like it's mad. I think that would and then he died with like one of his fucking with like his some young guy that he was living with or something. Um, so you think like when there's a bunch of rumors like that, I don't think the church liked him a lot. But you also think like, how come you think so? A gay or a bi dude painted all of these fucking crazy pictures, such as the uh, which is the one that they're all complaining about, the Last Supper, right? They're all saying, oh, look at these trans people involved with the Last Supper. That's disgusting. Like, I'm pretty sure that as the guy who was tortured about this, tortured about his sexuality and put into a courtroom when his local courts and policing, they hadn't even put anyone, they hadn't even taken being gay to trial for like 100 years or some shit. They just were allowing everybody to fuck each other. And then because people didn't like Da Vinci, they Leonardo, they dragged him into court. You think like that guy probably wants trans and gay people to be acting out the fucking um, Last Supper. That dude probably wants that. Do you know what I mean? The guy who painted that picture probably wants people that he would identify with. Like, what the fuck is the problem? You think it's such a weird thing, like, oh, come and see the Olympics in France. Let's do something extremely French and then have the whole world force them into an apology. You think, fortunately, that like it is really great that an apology is just a word, right? They still did. They still did something absolutely amazing. So for anyone that's going, I can't believe they apologized. All they had to do was say, I'm sorry, and they still got to get away with the shit that they did. Just as a quick note on male ego, just always bear in mind that to pieces of shit that would like go, I demand an apology, you can always just say, I'm sorry. It means nothing. Know that it means nothing to you, and know that it means everything to them, and that you can then just go on having done what you did, but just having apologized. Um, so yeah, I think that that's the craziest shit, man. Do you know what I mean? One that like this is a guy who like didn't he create cannons? Didn't Da Vinci create like he drew the plans for a helicopter, right? He created a cannon. I think he created like a fucking machine gun cannon or some shit, didn't he? He had like some fucking crazy ideas that like came true. Submarine, I think. Maybe not. I can't remember. I think so. Like, I might be. Yeah, he had some crazy fucking shit, man. And also like his way of painting meanings into religious pictures were phenomenal. You know, his way of painting uh his own thoughts on because he what didn't he get found with loads of pagan shit at some point? I don't know, man. I don't know, but what I do know is that what I know about him is that he was an exceptionally talented person. Um, and I think that that's all that should matter. It's somebody that was exceptionally talented that built a load of shit for his army and military, for the army and military of his town to protect themselves from people trying to steal from them and attack them, murder them, right? Also created a ton of beautiful art. Also created shit that you just think if they had have listened to that guy, right? If they had have like listened to him way more so, like Florence might have had some shit that people did not catch. You think that this is the downfall of places like of these huge fucking institutions? My arms look fucking tiny at the minute. I have not been doing any exercise for like 3 weeks. You think these are the fucking these are the problems with societies like this, right? Like, why did the Romans fall? Was it because of Commodus or what the fuck ever? It was probably shit like this. Do you know what I mean? Probably straight up shit like this, like going, no, get the guy to paint some pictures, but we don't want our women to fall in love with him, so uh, let's tell everybody that do you know what I mean? Let's tell everyone he's gay, and let's not listen to any of the fucking ideas that he has. Madness, man. Fucking crazy. Um, you think that that really is the problem with why shit falls, hey? You know, not listening to the right people, listening to the people that were born into a bloodline that are afraid of people like this. People that think that they deserve what they have because they were born into it, not people that quite clearly deserve to be a leading force because of their levels of intellect and creativity. So fucking mad, man. Anyway, what else did he paint? The Mona Lisa, the Last Supper, the Vitruvian Man is cool. I don't think that's a painting though. I guess I always saw that. That's about balance, right? Inspired by the writings of the ancient Roman architect Vitruvius. And then he painted the did he paint that crazy shit in the Sistine Chapel or in the Vatican or whatever? But yeah, man, crazy. Maybe not. Piero is a cool name. Leonardo di Ser Piero da Vinci. That means Leonardo, the son of Piero and of Vinci, doesn't it? I think. because his dad was called Piero. Anyway, don't know how the fuck I got into. Oh yeah, Da Vinci, because they keep talking about this shit all the time, and I was thinking like, man, like I think it seems to be quite obvious that Leonardo da Vinci was gay or bi. So like, why are you saying that like somebody that painted a gay or bi guy, or somebody that just didn't care about sexuality and didn't need to be labeled as anything, he just fucked whatever he wanted to fuck, right? And then you got a bunch of people going, no, he this is going to piss off Christians. Well, it didn't piss off the fucking maker of the painter. It didn't piss off the painter, did it? Do you know what I mean? Madness. Um, Trump agrees to victim interview as FBI investigates rally shooting. You know, if the FBI uncover some shit here where like that they say that this was all planned, Kamala's getting in. Kamala's getting into power. I've said about what her name is. Was Reagan a good president? Didn't Reagan come good? Did, oh, I don't know if Reagan can. I don't know if anybody should ever say that. Reagan took the prison system back to it being like slavery, right? Locking people up for anything, creating drugs which psychologically people just went, there's no difference between alcohol and cocaine. Do you know what I mean? Psychologically, you don't see any difference there. So if you've been having fun with drinking, you just then go and have fun with cocaine. And then they say, well, no, you're going to go to prison for that. And the people that are selling it are going, how am I any different to somebody selling cans of Foster's, Budweiser? Do you know what I mean? And then the people that are doing it are thinking that it doesn't mean anything in their head. If anything, like they want to do it more because it's prohibited, you know? So he basically gave the police the ability to lock up anybody that they wanted and get them to do a load of free slave labor for like making tables and pairs of jeans and shit. What the fuck ever else you do in prison? Draw pictures, I guess. Podcasts. Um, so then you think like, yeah, I don't know because everybody says he calms shit down with Russia. But like, if the stuff with Russia is always going to be because they're actually mates with Russia and they just use each other to manipulate the American people, oh, don't worry, we solved this problem that was never a problem. That's like the episode of Friends where Monica pays Joey to come and be a waiter that she can fire. That that's what like this foreign soil shit seems to represent. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like Putin is using the US to uh, out to murder fucking people that have got some sort of dissonance or rebellion in Russia, and the same thing is happening in the US. The amount of times I've been called a communist and shit, it's like I just think people are equal. I just think people have different strengths and different skills. I don't see why somebody should get loads of money for one skill when another skill is seemingly just as important or as impressive, you know? That's my opinion. I don't understand why some people are so loaded and some people are so broke when they seem to have very similar skill sets and mindsets, you know, frames of mind. But like for the reasons that people would say that Ronald Reagan and also if you look at Ronald Wilson Reagan, that's 666. Ronald has six letters and Wilson has six letters and Reagan has six letters and if you look at like at the anagram that I did yesterday, ha, rise, karma, the devil. I don't think that might not be a good sign, you know. That really, really might not be a good sign. Just basing off what off like it seems like Reagan presided over the country at a time where shit got made worse in terms of taking away freedoms and putting people in prisons. So if you're worried about that shit, then Harris might be about to sit over that shit, you know. And I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think it's going to matter. Whoever gets in power, they're probably going to preside over the same shit, you know. Um, Tommy Robinson flees UK. Was interested to know that his name isn't Tommy Robinson. Why would he choose the name Tommy Robinson? His name is Stephen Yaxley Lennon. That seems crazy. It's not like Yaxley Lennon is a. It's not like Yaxley Lennon is like a foreign name. Like what? Where the fuck is Yaxley from? It sounds like a Saxon name, but it also sounds like it could be Jewish. Yaxley and Harry Potter. Um, Doomsday Book, Tenant of the Lands of Yaxley. Um, yeah, it's just an English name. So I was saying that I think he's a police officer, just inciting hatred in people that he thinks are stupid. Maybe that's why he's gone. Maybe that's why he's fucked off. Um, you've been in prison a lot as well. Violent crimes, fraud. Um, so what the fuck else? One sec. Welcome to Wrexham. I hope that Wrexham get promoted to the. I hope that they have a stint in the Prem. Well, I reckon they're gonna get they'll get to the Prem and they'll stay up. I think they're gonna need more investors though. You know, I think that Wrexham are going to need more investors if they're going to achieve that. Sort of like Eva Longoria and shit are like involved in it now, which seems mad. They're probably not going to notice money until they get to the Championship Prem though. You know. But I think it would be, I think it's great, you know. And any time a smaller team gets up, people always hated the concept of Man City, and I thought it was great to have the underdogs of that town for so long come through and get taken. It's just a shame when you think, is the money coming from somewhere that's not good? Um, COVID positive. This is what I'm saying, man. Why is everyone getting COVID at the minute? I've had it. Mad. Um, okay. Apart from that, one second. Against women is a national emergency. Will the police do anything? Right. This seems to be an issue with the school system, right? Is it? Like personally, I guess all I do is this shit in here, and then I go for walks. So I'm not seeing any like violence against women. I did notice that women seem to want to be treated more violently in bed, starting around 15 years ago, maybe, and then going away a little bit and then coming back pretty full force. And it still seems to be that way now. Um, in terms of like being violent towards women I mean, I haven't really seen anything like that. So, but I've noticed like art for things people are saying Andrew Tate, but like, wasn't Eminem doing really similar shit? I guess what Eminem was doing was he wasn't saying this is my opinion, he was saying this is my alter ego who says things that I wouldn't ever say. Whereas with Andrew Tate, what he's doing is he's saying, "This is me, and I believe these things." But I also think that Andrew Tate was slandered and fucked with. You know, I think that sometimes you should be able to say things and not be held accountable for them. You know, I don't know. Like me saying I'm going to kill somebody doesn't mean that I'm going to kill them. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy, and I legitimately feel like I've been targeted in the past because of shit I've said something, not done anything, said something out of anger to a friend in close personal proximity, just me and them, and then they've gone and told people, and people have gone, "How could you say this? Like, what the fuck are you on about?" Do you know what I mean? I said out of anger, I wanted to set somebody on fire. So what? Like, have I ever set anybody on fire? There's probably a better point. Do you know what I mean? And this whole concept of, well, if you thought it, like, We watch films where people set fire to people and shoot them all the time, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like tons of our programming, rap music, rock music, metal. Do you know what I mean? Like loads of that shit, man. It's crazy. Violence with women. I mean, listen, if you're a girl and you're going through that, you would probably have. I would say speak up about it. You know, without speaking about it, I guess without speaking about it, people don't do anything about it. You know, because if you're the victim of abuse like that, then people don't know quite what to do, quite what to do with it. Like you might not know what to do with it, but you might find that by talking to somebody, that they have a better idea of what to do. Personally, with regard to me making I think it's now close to 20 complaints to police, law enforcement, and the Home Office. What I would say is that not that I would like it, but if women start getting some traction here and police doing nothing about it, that might mean that they start needing to fucking reply to people like me as well. If there's some big uproar where people start to hate that the police aren't responding to complaints about like violent physical and psychological torture, um, if people start to get an uproar about that, that can only help my cause in wanting to stop being harassed and abused by people that seemingly are doing this because of some sort of like personal vendetta, or they wanted to make a drug dealer or a police officer, hence me being groomed from like being like zero, you know. I just don't get with me. Like, at what point at any point didn't they think this isn't going to work? He isn't the sort of person that should be a police officer. He just stood up for two of his friends when they were when people physically attacked them. You know what I mean? Like that he stood up for two people when they were physically attacked. So I don't think he wants or needs to be a police officer though. He just stood up for his friends. Do you know what I mean? Like I would say that like people should have stopped trying to make me that because now you've just destroyed my life. Um, so yeah, for women, I would say take it like women are very good at men. Men are very good. What men do is they would listen to stuff like this and go, "He's playing a victim," right? Because that's how we're trained. We're trained to not talk about anything. We're trained to bottle it all up and then go and fucking do some school shooting or some shit, or like take it out on people at work so that the slavery machine keeps on rolling, right? Whereas women are very good at talking about stuff and they're also very good at organizing each other. Um, in order to not take this shit through like WhatsApp groups or through like getting together and tearing shit down, really protesting and making a huge point about this shit. Whereas like most of the men that I know just go, well, you used to take a lot of drugs. Do you know what I mean? Like that's some sort of reason that I should have had my head caved in a couple of times by police. Um, oh, do you remember when you said that when you were drunk? Yeah, I remember when I rapped along to Eminem a lot too. Like, do you know what I mean? What the fuck? So I would say women, my advice would be let people know about whatever's going on with whoever's doing it. And if the police don't do anything, make it so that they have to. Make it so that people are that livid that they think that they have to. I would say what the problem is here is that like a lot of police officers look at things like this and they go, "Well, what did you do first?" Which is a valid point. Do you know what I mean? It really is. It really is a valid point. I know that a lot of women will go, "No, it's never a valid point to hit someone." No, it's not. But like, did you just go out of your way to? And how long were you intentionally winding somebody up for? You think that like there's a lot of grey area there where you think, well, I know girls that like actively have gone out and poisoned their boyfriends and shit. Do you know what I mean? It's been done to me. I've had a girl give me a drink that she'd had spiked, that somebody had date raped. Given to her, she knew it had been spiked and she gave it to me. So you think like and I had a girl fake a pregnancy after I broke up with her, tell me that she was going to commit suicide twice, then told me that she was going to destroy my life, then fake a pregnancy and tell me that her brother, who had raped two of her friends, this is what she told me, had thrown her down the stairs and that she needed to live at my flat because she was pregnant with my child. This is like a few weeks after breaking up with her. So women will do some shit that is like you do think for some parts like, well, no, hitting a woman isn't right at all. Personally, I've never had to get to the point where I've had to hit a woman. But you think, well, but why is it okay that women will do that to men? Do you know what I mean? Because like, and what happens is when I talk about that shit, I get men going, yeah, you just couldn't handle that sort of woman. This is how men will jump on other men. Yeah, you're just a victim. You're just complaining about it. Do you know what I mean? That's what men do to other men. And women just go, well, you should have like what exactly should I have done in that? But not broken up with somebody that I could see was just going to be a psychopath that was extremely toxic. I think I just shouldn't have broken up with that girl. I think I did what anybody should do in a normal situation, which is break up with that girl. Do you know what I mean? Because it was getting reduced to slinging insults at each other, like pointless insults and shit. So like I broke up with her, and then she did that. Just used to show up at my flat, wasted, pulled up at my flat in her car and just sat outside. Do you know what I mean? And so you do think like I think each story is probably case by case, but I think police probably have that often where they go, well, now that we've looked into how this story arose, we're sort of thinking, what the fuck do you know what I mean? Like, um, it's crazy, it really is. And you almost feel for the police in these situations because they don't do anything about a woman getting hit, and they are like advocating some male fucking agenda, right? But if they listen to people like me and they do something about that, it's even worse for them. Do you know what I mean? They don't do anything and they listen to what actually played out in a story, and all of a sudden they're attacking this poor Whittle girl. Which, like, you would think that the main point of sexism is to be able to speak up about like women doing shit like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are we a society of people that go, this Whittle girl shouldn't be, should like she should have been able to get away with that. That's just Whittle girls being Whittle girls. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, it's not. If a guy did that to a girl, it would be front page of the fucking paper. Look at this psychopath who's been stalking this little girl. Do you know what I mean? Legit. So yeah, I would say speak up about like if you're a woman and you're having people behave violent, or you're having men behave violently to you, talk about it to your parents, to your friends. And if it's violence, if it's somebody behaving like in a way that you think might lead to violence, I would say break up with that person. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't really see another way. They might end up being with somebody who they do not ever act like that with. It might be you two rubbing each other up the wrong way, you know? And I would say that if you're that there really isn't another way around like just speaking about it to the right people. But like if you've gone out of your way to stalk and harass somebody and you threaten their life and you said that you were going to commit suicide a couple of times just because they broke up with you, do you know what I mean? I would say probably if that's what has happened. But you also then think, well, even just by me talking about that situation, it's going to get girls thinking, it's going to get guys thinking, yeah, that's what this girl did to me, and but when it wasn't necessarily the case, right? It's exactly the same as talking about police violence. I talk about what's happened with me, and then people go, well, what about this situation and what about that situation? A situation that I know nothing about. But like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to keep my mouth shut? Do you know what I mean? Seems crazy. Um, so yeah, I think that there isn't any other way for women that are experiencing violence but to talk about it. They should go and talk to their friends. And if they've actually been hit or something, like then they should talk to the police. As a man, police laugh at you when you say that somebody's assaulted you. But if you're a woman, you should go to the police about it. And when they don't do anything, you should get action taken. But I'm just telling you that as a guy, police don't do a fucking thing if you've been physically assaulted. They literally laugh at you. One time I was about 14. I didn't want to speak to the police. Nottingham isn't a place where you speak to the police. But like, I basically I got assaulted by like this 35-year-old guy in the meadows at about 4 in the morning. And my mum forced me to go to the police about it because of what my face looked like. And basically, the police just pulled out a folder with about 500 black guys' faces in it and just said, flick through them. I, I don't know why it's funny, but they didn't give a shit. Nothing ever happened with that. Do you know what I mean? Don't care, man. Don't care if you're a guy. I don't know if they care if you're a girl. Um, but probably more so than if you're a guy. So yeah, talk about it and get the attention that you need. If somebody's just been a violent arsehole to you for no reason, or you've just been like hit for speaking your mind or some, do you know what I mean? If you've just spoken your mind and somebody's hit you, or you said that you don't want to be with a guy and they've hit you or something, then speak about it. If the police don't do anything about it, I'll catch something mad. If you if then there is nothing better that you can do than speak about it. No. And what I would say, one of the things that seems to cause a huge issue is what girls are very good at and what they're very bad at is they will get together in a group of people and they will talk about it and then gossip about it and then lie about it. When I would say that what the actual best course of action to do is like if you've got a bunch of girls going, oh, this is what this guy did, this is what this guy did, I would say that the best thing to do would be to get that guy and some of his friends so that they can both talk it out in front of people. That's what I would see because what seems to happen is both sides run some sort of rhetoric. Both sides tell a side of the story, and through people getting hurt through going, that isn't what you perceive to happen there, isn't how I'm perceiving it, right? So then people across a distance and not speaking to each other will both be getting more and more annoyed and coming up with worse and worse shit. So I would say that like if you're going to talk about it, then like instead of just going, no, cut that person off, I would say get a conversation going with that person. And if there's somebody that's just gone like, I don't give a fuck that I hit you, or I don't give a, then like that's when you cut that person off. Do you know what I mean? But like I would say that yeah, really difficult situation, but definitely violence against women is not something that you want on the rise. Um, because it is not indicative of a healthy society. New leaders need to attack poisonous gaming betting. I've talked about this. Like FIFA is bad, man. FIFA is it's not called FIFA anymore, is it? I played EA Sports 24 or whatever it was called last year. Like that is just a way to just get people into gambling without gambling. You can't place bets under 18, but you can for sure pay money and you get to like wait for this pack to open and all these stars burst and then do you know what I mean? Like you get a better team of paying money, and basically what you're doing is you're gambling. You're paying money on this pack, and when the pack explodes and give you players like you're hoping for a Cristiano Ronaldo or a Messi or whatever, but you could just get a dud. Do you know what I mean? Seemingly, you get the same dud over and over again in EA Sports FC. So, and that's training for gambling. Do you know what I mean? So I would say that like it's quite clear to me what needs to happen. You need to have the whole sporting industry is just advertising for gambling. It's not an indication of the best football players. It's not an indication of the most skillful players. If you think that it is like it's mad it's madness, man. If you think that it is, then look at the people who are putting money into football teams. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, are there more? Is there anything else interesting? No. I scanned all this shit beforehand. None of this was UK desperately exposed to cyber threats. Anybody is desperately exposed to cyber threats. Nobody is ever safe from cyber threats. There is always somebody that is going to be a better hacker that is going to have more information. There was always a group of people that will go for one person that like nobody's ever safe from cyber threats. It's so easy. You don't even have to hack shit. They realize through social media you don't even have to hack anything. Do you know what I mean? You just slander people, man. You want to fuck up people's money, but you have money. Do you know what I mean? If you want to fuck up people's money, but you have money, you just slander them. You just make it so that they can't make money. Like, you barely even need to hack. Basically, what people realize through hacking is that it's pointless. Do you know what I mean? Completely pointless. You can just do the same fucking shit, like, do the same shit without a PC or a laptop. Like, if somebody doesn't have any dirt, if somebody doesn't really have any dirt that you can fuck them over on, people just make shit up about them. It's happened to me a ton of times, man. Even like in terms of good shit, the amount of times I've had weird fucking rumors come back, like, what the fuck are you like? No, that didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? Nothing like what happened. That's two stories merged together, mixed with a ton of fantasy. Uh, Elon Musk accused of spreading lies of a Dr. Kamala Harris video. I've said my piece about the fucking um, American politics way too much. I think I'm finished here, to be honest. Like, I've flicked through all of this before and I didn't see anything exciting. Dennis the cat, the ugly rogue who taught me to love myself, makes me want to read it just because it's got a cat. But I'm not going to read an article about a cat. I don't think. Ooh, that sounds nice. Pan fried courgette parmigiana. Bet that's banging. Makes me want to make it. It's unfortunate I don't have money. I was thinking that like another thing I can do is substitute out these fucking news reviews and film myself cook like that risotto recipe instead of talking about how much fun I used to have making that. Like, just go out and make it, and just film myself doing it. I guess that is what I would do with money. Is share my knowledge. Okay, so I guess that this is I'm done here.